Hey, it's Jake Gagne. Thanks for watching MotoAmerica on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment.
It's all down to this. Two gladiators squaring off. The incumbent trying to retain. Jake Gagne will take another win. Race 1 here at Barber Motorsports Park. The challenger trying to take it away. Is there anything better than a championship coming down to the last race of the season? It's time to hand out the #1 plate right now. It's Championship Sunday here at the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. It's Superbikes at Alabama. That's the round, the racetrack. Barber Motorsports Park for our final race of Medallia Superbikes of the season. And it is all to play for today. And it's between Jake Gagne and Danilo Petrucci, the MotoAmerica rookie. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast, and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time world champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, can you imagine what's happened? So yesterday when we leave the broadcast, it's 16 points. Now, after the jump start penalty was reversed, it's down to 13 points. It doesn't seem like much, but in the dry conditions, anything's possible.
Yeah, about an hour ago or so, Greg, it started to rain, and I started to think, well, maybe we might see something different happen here in the Superbike race. Fact is that it's going to be full dry rather, and these are the highlights from yesterday. It's going to look a lot like this today with the weather. Out front early was Gagne with Cam Peterson and Matthew Skoltz, and you can see the gap they pulled over Danilo Petrucci, who is riding as hard as he can on that Ducati. Gagne would pull away. You're going to see Cam Peterson slide across your screen here, Greg. That was the points that he threw away yesterday in his battle with Matthew Skoltz over second in the championship. But this guy did what he needed to do, did Gagne. He got out front early, ran those consistent laps. Matthew Skoltz would follow him home about 5 seconds back. Now, P.J. Jacobsen also rode really well yesterday to what we thought was going to be third. That penalty did get reversed. Danilo Petrucci did get credited with that third place finish to get us to where we are today.
So Gagne snatches another victory, but after the penalties reversed, this is what we're looking at. 356 to 343. 12 wins on the season, though, for Jake Gagne. And Jason, that means that Gagne has got 29 wins so far in his Medallia Superbike career here in MotoAmerica. But the thing to remember is that for Jake Gagne, he just started winning last year.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy when you think of the success that he has had. And that's a lot of that has to do with the team he is on. And now we're starting to see the emergence of Cam Peterson, who's had a really great weekend. Other than the slide off yesterday, he's been tremendously fast. So those guys are going to be trying to do the same thing they did yesterday with Matthew Skoltz and Petrucci. Hopefully they have found something. That the warm-up this morning, it had rained this morning, so they didn't get as much of a real warm-up. So if they made any changes overnight, it's probably going to be a little coin flip because the speed wasn't as quick this morning as it was yesterday.
Now, we talk often about the pressure on the riders. Of course, we know Gagne and Petrucci locked in a battle. But, Jason, let's talk about pressure because it's on the teams as well. This is a team sport, after all.
Yeah, that's the incredible part that sometimes gets forgotten is how amazing these mechanics and crew chiefs have to turn these bikes around overnight. They don't want to make any mistakes any more than the riders.
So pressure is always the question on teams. So let's get down to the grid with Hannah Lopa, who has more on pressure.
Greg, I'm here with John Cornwell from Attack Performance Yamaha, crew chief to Jake Gagne. Now, racing truly is a team sport, and Jake Gagne has been singing your praises along with the crews for the entirety of this season. But what's the climate like under the canopy? You know, is the team feeling an added sense of pressure to prepare this motorcycle for its final battle that's for all the marbles?
It's not been so bad, actually. We have all been pulling on the rope in the same direction. Everybody's got kind of everybody's back. We're trying to keep it calm and cool and not do anything different. Just approach it like it's another race because you don't really need to try to make anything special out of it.
It's all hands on deck over here at the Yamaha camp. What do you got, Jamie?
Well, it's the same for Warhorse HSBK Ducati Racing as Danilo Petrucci is now putting his leathers on to get onto the bike. But Giovanni Cruppi, you led the team to give a bike to Danilo that's accumulated 5 wins, 16 podiums, put you in this position to go for a championship. What was the mindset to get ready for the race today?
We are trying something different with the tires. We need to learn a little bit more to how to use the Dunlop tires here. We have a very good team and a very, very good rider, a good bike. So, yeah, I think we only need to learn a little bit more from the championship and also some difficult track for us. I think we have to test a little bit more and get ready for this race first, and then looking forward to the next year.
Never stop learning, Greg, but now it's go time.
Yeah, it's definitely go time. And boy, it's Barber Motorsports Park, the finale. So Jason, let's take a look at this racetrack. It's got a lot of elevation, and it is a fan favorite.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Down to turn 1, short start, up through over turn 2, where we saw Cam Peterson have his problems. Turn 5 will be really important, Greg, on that first lap. As they get back over to the back straight, turn 12, 13, another key area, and then, of course, 14, 15, and 16, all on the right-hand side of that tire before they flick it back left down that straightaway.
Let's have another look at Barber Motorsports Park with Roger Hayden, who has our Ducati Fast Lap.
Let's look at some of my favorite corners at Barber Motorsports Park. Turn 4, an uphill right-hander that's blind, not able to see the apex or what's on the other side. Also, that corner is important because it sets up your run to turn 5, which is the best passing opportunity. Then turn 8, the museum corner, a really fast blind right-hander, but the track goes away at the apex, so you have to find your reference points. And then turn 12, a really fast left-hander that goes down into 13 that has a lot of camber, so that will help you scrub your speed.
All right, thanks, Roger. We're less than 4 minutes away from a race start. Who's going to walk away with the #1 plate? Can Gagne hold onto it, or will it be Petrucci?
If I were to do a poll in the paddock, Roger Hayden, and ask who do you think is going to win this race, what would you think the ratio between Gagne to Petrucci would be? How many do you think would think Gagne would win?
How many people's on Petrucci's team?
That would be it. Right?
I mean, you would have to go by the pace this weekend, and then yesterday's race as well. But Danilo is
he's not going to give up.
He's not going to give up, and I think today he's got nothing to lose. He's got to go for it and win
Medallia
this race.
Superbike
So we might
coverage
see a little
is
bit more
sponsored by
aggressive Danilo
Medallia.
today.
I think he was actually really hoping for that umbrella girl to be holding her,
By Dunlop.
the umbrella over keeping the rain away. I think that could have been the equalizer that he needed. And again, all of those guys are good, but I think he just needed that added factor because when it's dry, we have not seen anything out of that Ducati here at Barber that is anything near as close as those 3 Yamahas that are going to be up there in the front.
And when it's dry like this, there's less risk of something happening as well. You know, in the wet, you never know where.
Electronic.
We've seen Luke Power just get on the podium in Supersport, so you never know when somebody could really be fast in the wet and make a couple passes on those guys and shuffle Jake back. But it's dry, and this is what we're going to go for today.
Are there team orders? There's only one true teammate for Jake Gagne, and that is Cam Peterson. Yesterday, Cam had no orders. He said, you can go out there. The team said, if you can win this race, you win the race. I think that gave him some incentive, and he said that. I pushed it a little too hard. I was closing in on Jake, and I pushed it. I crashed. Will we see somebody beat Jake, or will they need to stay behind just to make sure that he wins this championship?
With the points lead Jake has, I think all he has to do is manage the points. And I think if it was a different story, I think they were waiting for yesterday's race. After that was over, then they made their plan for today. So I think now, let Cam go out there and try to get that win. And, because if Cam does win, it doesn't really matter where Jake finishes.
No, and again, if Jake Gagne finishes in the top 4, that'll give him 13 points, and that'll be enough with the 13-point advantage he has now. 25 points available. The guys next door will keep you abreast of how this championship picture is looking. Another guy we haven't talked about that you need to look at is that third rider in the picture, Matthew Skoltz on that Westby Yamaha, looking for a win. He could get it here. Again, the championship is about to be decided. Who's going to win the race and who's going to win this title?
Medallia Superbike coverage is sponsored by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. Medallia Superbike race #2 riders on the warm-up lap. Gives us a chance to take a look at the grid as Jake Gagne set a new track record here at 122 flat next to Cam Peterson and Matthew Skoltz.
Then we have PJ Jacobson, Petrucci, Escalante. Back to row 3s and 4, we got Lewis, Gillum, Kyle Wyman, Hector Barber, David Anthony, and Ashton Yates. Corey Alexander, Flinders, Wyman, Travis Wyman that is, Jeff May, Ezra Bobier, and Andrew Lee. Brandon Posh, Danilo Lewis, they have a little inner battle that we'll get into. Giannato, Dunham, Davis, and Lampkin.
And then on down to Coffee and Waters. Looks like is that a problem for the 42? So it looks like one of the riders might be having a problem. Couldn't see exactly who it was. But nonetheless, here we go. 20 laps scheduled for Medallia Superbike race number 2. Rider pushing their bike off, but we're ready to get racing going. Those red lights go on and off, and clutches are going to be out. The final race of 2022 queued up. Revs are up. We're away racing, and it looks like the front row got a good launch. Jake Gagne leads the way from Cam Peterson, and there goes Petrucci up the inside. He takes over 4th spot, at least for the moment. He's a little wide, but it's going to be your pole sitter. And then Cameron Peterson in 2nd, and Matthew Skoltz. So it's Yamaha 1, 2, 3 with a Ducati in 4th.
I love what I saw from Danilo there. He had to get by PJ Jacobsen, and he was able to accomplish that right off the bat as Cam Peterson goes through now on Gagne down into Charlotte's Web with Skoltz just behind Gagne now and Petrucci. PJ Jacobsen holding on to the back, and it looks like maybe one of the M4 bikes, Greg, maybe Jake Lewis there in 6th.
And it's the 45 who's in the lead around Jake Gagne. Jason, we haven't seen this too much this season.
No, but Cam's been really...
Oh, we got rider down to the back.
Maybe riders. It looked like more than one. Is it just one, Greg? It is just one. Have a look and see who that is.
48?
Yeah, is that Joe Giannato, isn't it?
Yeah, Joe Giannato on his BMW down. But we have Cameron Peterson leading the way on a rider who absolutely loves Barber Motorsports Park in his career. It's one of his favorites.
Well, he's been fast all weekend long, and for Cam Peterson, he knows he can go out and set the laps down. Going to see on the left-hand side of our screen, you can see a bike come across. It'll be Joe Giannato. Right side of our screen is the live action, and I like the fact that Petrucci's been able to stay closer, Greg, and he's going to have a look at Matthew Skoltz right off the bat. You heard that they maybe made a different tire choice today for Petrucci, so he gets himself up to 3rd, and he doesn't have these guys that far in front of him. Everybody's still together.
Cameron Peterson, a 126 flat, setting the pace for his teammate Jake Gagne. With Jake Gagne's lead, Gagne could be in the situation, Jay, where all he has to do is follow Petrucci if Petrucci was able to get up to Gagne and pass him. But Cam Peterson is setting a fantastic pace out front, and this actually plays into the favor of Jake Gagne because Gagne is not having to set the pace. He gets to follow his teammate. Hannah?
Talking to Cam Peterson, he really wants to clinch 3rd overall in the standings, so it's huge for him, and he knows how much a win could mean today. He said he's got more confidence on the front end of this motorcycle than he's had all season long. He feels great on the brakes and rolling corners. He knows that if he hits his marks that he can hold off Skoltz, but right now he's going to have to hold off his own teammate.
Yeah, Hannah, the confidence that Cam is showing us this weekend, and I know he had a slide off yesterday, so it maybe doesn't seem like he should be as confident as he is. But, Greg, they made a small change on this bike in Jersey, really made him a lot more comfortable on the motorcycle. Right now, I think Gagne's in a great place, too. He's got somebody that he can focus on right in front of him in a teammate that they've been riding around a little bit together this weekend as well. He knows that Cam Peterson is up to pace enough to maybe start to get away 23.6, 23.5, and 23.7 for your top 3. Skoltz just off with a 24 flat. Petrucci right now, to me, Greg, had some really fast splits. The last split, Petrucci was the quickest in, so he's doing everything he can right now to try to stay that turn 2 there. It really looks like these guys just kind of gap him a little bit, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's at the bottom where he just can't get the drive, Cam Petrucci, coming up and over the hill. But he makes a little bit of time up down into turn 5, as you would expect, because it's the hardest braking spot we have here at Barber Motorsports Park into turn 5, Charlotte's Web.
Well, you know how incredible he is under braking. We've seen that all season long, and when you heard Giovanni talking before the start of this race, they're just trying to get more data. We know how much data these bikes out in front have from all the years that they've raced here. Ducati hasn't been as active in the series over the past 4, 5, 6 years, obviously, so they are going to continue to get better. So this is really good to see from Petrucci right now, though.
And of course, Matthew Skoltz just behind Petrucci, and Skoltz, who is out to get the best result he can for his team, Westby Racing, also knows that there are some points at play for Yamaha in general. Jamie?
And talking to Matthew Skoltz, he was surprised by the race yesterday and the pace of it. He said, I don't understand why we were a second off of what we were in practice, but it was the same for the whole field. For him personally, he had lost some front end grip that they tried to address in the setup for today. So he's hoping to move up a little bit, but overall just improve the pace of going around here.
Yeah, right there, the front end just didn't quite get planted, Jay, and he went really wide.
He did. It looked like he had that thing a little bit sideways at the apex, but you know, when you're looking at what I'm seeing right now, this is kind of what I had expected from Petrucci when we rolled in here. I thought he would be a little bit closer, Greg, and I tell you right now, had he had this kind of race yesterday that he's having at the moment now, Sunday would have been a lot different for him, because they would go and make this motorcycle even better, because Petrucci has actually reeled these guys back in. 23.7 that time for both Petrucci and Skoltz, 24 flat for the leaders.
What a situation we have, because Cameron Peterson is trying to win his second race of the season, all the while helping his teammate Jake Gagne to win this national championship. But the situation for Gagne, if Petrucci really starts to lean on him, is all Gagne really has to do is follow Petrucci. I mean, if Petrucci wins, it's 5th place or better for Gagne, and he wraps it up.
And it's going to be a matter of the tire choice that they have made on that Ducati today. Is it a tire that's going to be able to last the distance, or are we trying to see Petrucci do something here where he holds on to them at the beginning and then tries, as everybody's tires go off, to run the same pace as them? But keep in mind, Greg, right now, 4th place is what Gagne needs to win the championship. He's got 4 riders in this lead group. PJ Jacobsen is only 1.3 seconds behind right now of Matthew Skoltz. So we're going to have to, a lot of things to play out. We got 16 laps to go.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that we have not seen the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York Panigale V4R get into the 23s until this race. Now they're at 24.1, but he's done a 23.7. They tested here a few months ago in the 23s. So in a weird way, Jason, they're in uncharted territory this weekend, and that's where this whole tire situation will play itself out. Here comes Matthew Skoltz. He's looking on the outside of Petrucci, but too many bike lengths between the two for Skoltz to make a move.
Let's keep in mind the fast lap from yesterday's race was a 22.9. Today the fastest lap we've seen so far is 23.6. So the track slowing down has also helped in this battle at the front, keeping guys a little bit closer as well. Matthew seems to really have this last quarter of the track through sections 4 and 5, sectors 4 and 5 down a little bit. I've seen him look up the inside a couple of times. They come up over the top of this hill. Matthew Skoltz has looked up the inside of this long right a couple of times. You'll see in the background. Look at there, Greg.
There he goes. Oh, so Skoltz stands Petrucci up. So Matthew Skoltz with a nice move relegates Petrucci back to 4th place. And Skoltz has seemed to find something. So Skoltz now, we've seen Petrucci pass him on the straightaway. Will he do it into turn number 1? It's braking, it's Petrucci. Oh, and he stands Skoltz up. Is there enough racetrack? There is. The 3rd place battle right now, Jamie, is raging on. And for the moment, it's Petrucci who's got the advantage.
And Petrucci's riding motivated by the fact that this is the final race of the season, and it very well could be the final race of his career as well. He has big decisions to make in the offseason. We heard Giovanni Cruppi talk about this team moving forward, testing and getting more experience and more knowledge so that they can be out here committed to next season. But I think the big question is who's going to ride that Ducati next year.
And that is a question I think that will get answered during the offseason. I'd love to see Danilo come back. He's seen all these tracks now. Ducati looks like they want to continue to work forward and getting this bike better, getting him better, getting things more suited towards the Dunlops. And you can see Petrucci gives as good as he got there from Matthew. Matthew went up underneath him in turns 14, 15, 16. And Petrucci returned the favor down in turn 1. Just good, close, hard racing that you'd expect from these guys.
Yeah, but all this mucking about has gotten a little bit of a gap, Jason. So 1.2 seconds after these two have battled up the road to Jake Gagne, while Cam Peterson still just a couple tenths of a second over his teammate.
And you can see Petrucci adjusted his line nicely there. That's how you learn from those type of things. And what's really it's done, Greg, is it's brought PJ Jacobsen back into the fold. PJ's only a second back at this, battling for 3rd. You can see PJ's right there with him, and Jake Lewis doing a really nice job on that Vision Wheel M4 Suzuki there in 6th place at the moment.
Tytler Cycles, PJ Jacobsen having a good last couple races on that team. They've really found some setup choices for PJ. Questions up in the air as to what's going to happen with him next year as well. All the while, a pair of fresh and lean progressive Yamahas out front. But PJ, Jamie, what do you think?
Well, he's only 6/10 off of Matthew Skoltz right now, and that's going to be encouraging for him because he was frustrated with himself after the race yesterday. He said in the opening stages he made too many mistakes. He rode the bike too hard, and what that did was built a gap that he spent the whole second half of the race overcoming, and that's when his motorcycle was really coming into its own. He made the right choice on tire. He had a great setup underneath him. He has all of those same things today, but he's been able to stay closer to the gap. So over the next half of this race, I expect him to close it up a little bit more.
Yeah, and the team had to refocus too, Jay, after what it looked like. PJ finished third yesterday. After the AMA-FIM had a closer look, had a video review in depth. They spent literally a couple hours, almost 3 hours, reviewing the tape from Petrucci's jump start, and they reversed their decision based off of a protest filed from the team. And so it was a bit deflating going into today for PJ and the Tytlers Cycles team, but they're rebounding nicely.
He's right there, though, Greg. I mean, this Tytlers team all year long, I've been super impressed by them. The fact that it's a brand new team, all new personnel, 2 big semi-trucks here in the paddock, and they've done a really nice job putting these bikes on the podium. And PJ is right there. If these two guys start to mess around with each other a little bit, the neat thing for PJ, I think, is that he's been able to keep a tire underneath him and show this kind of race pace. You remember yesterday, Greg, he was fast late on, and he started to roll forward and was actually catching Danilo late in that race yesterday. He'll be looking to do some of that same stuff today.
What a drive Petrucci got out of that last corner. Put some daylight between himself and Skoltz. In the museum corner they go. This Ducati Panigale V4R.
Essentially, Greg, the first 5 are all in the 24.3, 24.2s. Petrucci 24.3 that last time by. Get a good look here at Jake Lewis. Putting in a really nice ride right now.
Jake Lewis on that Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. That's a GSXR 1000. Of course, Lewis out a little time during the season. He was injured, back in action. And Lewis, of course, who has a Stock 1000 championship to his resume. Still gelling with the team. I think the question is what's going to happen with Jake Lewis, and the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team, from what I'm being told, is back in Superbike on the GSXR 1000 next season. What the team's going to look like is a bit of a question mark. We know that Richie Escalante, right there, the number 54, just ahead of Kyle Wyman on the Tytlers Cycle BMW. He's slotted to be back with the team. So much silly season stuff to be decided as we're wrapping up the season, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, for Richie Escalante, it's nice to see him get a couple of good rides, and didn't get to see what really happened to him at the beginning of this race, Greg. If you remember yesterday, he was running a pretty solid 5th, I believe it was, before he had to slide off late in the race. His teammate, though, is a little bit up the road. Kyle Wyman right now is still trying to close that up, and if you look just behind them, Hayden Gillum is in that photo, is in that same shot with these other two as well.
Well, as you know, Kyle Wyman committed to doing the King of the Bagger Series with Harley-Davidson this year, but really wanted to end the season on a high note with this wild card ride. And yesterday, you know, he met every goal that he wanted to up until the race, and he just was having a really hard time riding the bike. So they made some big changes this morning for more entry stability, more feeling in that front end. And it was a good step, but they need to make a step further. So when I talked to the team, they said they may make a further change and take a gamble here just to try to make the bike a little bit easier to ride for Kyle, also with tire degradation in mind.
You know, it's funny.
Richie Escalante right in front of Kyle Wyman on the racetrack. One of the things that he struggled with in the race yesterday was some front end chatter, so they made it a front end adjustment. It was much better in warm up, but the other thing that they did this morning was they tried to give him a better feel of what the bike is like at the end of the race, because that's where he struggled. It was 5 laps ago. He made a slight mistake, but it had a huge consequence. So when he went out for morning warm up, it was on a set of used old tires and very low fuel, so they would simulate what the bike would feel like at the end of the race, and we're going to see how it pays off in these next 10 laps.
And you know, Greg, the thing is that warm-up this morning, we did have some rain in the area early, and the Superbike times, when I was watching the session this morning, they were about a half second or more off. So maybe a couple of the riders that made some significant changes overnight really didn't get to test the stuff the way they normally would. Things maybe weren't getting up to temperature. Maybe tires weren't getting as hot as they were yesterday to really try that stuff. Because you could see even coming through that last corner, it looked like Richie still had a little bit of chatter on that front end, and that could be the reason why he's just a little bit further back today.
So the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team continues to plug away, as does this team right here, Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha. Cameron Peterson still leads his teammate Jake Gagne, who's not in a win-at-all-cost situation in this championship. Right now, Jason, though, I think we talked about this earlier. It makes a lot of sense. For Jake Gagne, he doesn't have a lonely race up the road right now, having to focus. Cameron Peterson is the perfect lead-out rider. The question is Gagne hungry for another win, or is Cameron Peterson going to fight him? I mean, this is where things get a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
If I just don't feel like Jake Gagne is going to throw a shot at him. Do you?
No, I don't. And, you know, Jake always talks about not really thinking about the championship. This is two good friends ripping around the track together right now because these guys get along so well. The whole atmosphere underneath that tent with the crew, the riders, the whole team in general, they're all pretty mellow. They get along great. These two guys are just out there ripping around doing laps. And what Gagne ultimately wants to see is that plus board continuing to increase.
And Jay, I don't think Gagne would be particularly disappointed to see his teammate finish in front of him. Like you mentioned, they're teammates, but they are friends away from the track. There's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of respect right here. But to answer your question, you know, is Jake wanting to go for one more win? He said he doesn't want to have to do anything crazy. He doesn't have to win, but it would be nice, but not at the expense of jeopardizing the success of his championship and his teammate. He just wants to ride at a pace that's comfortable, be smart, and bring it home.
We know both riders have contracts till the end of next season. So that's this team, the fresh and lean progressive Yamaha team, will remain intact this way. And Jason, having these two riders very happy and friendly at the end of the season is always a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, you never want to see that change, but Cam's definitely found some pace, and that team's done a nice job getting him going. And you can see now P.J. Jacobsen goes up underneath Matthew Scults. He had been chipping away, Greg, hadn't he? But P.J. Jacobsen has now moved himself into fourth place, and he's got third place right in front of him. Now, keep in mind, P.J. had third taken away from him after doing his podium celebrations and things yesterday, and he has got some pace, it looks like, Greg.
He certainly does. So PJ, is he going to try to make a move on Petrucci? That's a hard spot to do it. In speaking with PJ yesterday, I asked him exactly about this particular scenario. There's a championship on the line. If you get racing with Gagne or Petrucci, what are you going to do? As we look at that pass, just nice under braking.
And it looked like something had happened even before this in those last couple of corners. It just looked weird how they came onto that front straightaway. So not sure if we got that stuff, but it looked like something had happened, and that was what allowed PJ to drive himself up along Matthew Scults and make that pass.
So continue my comment as my conversation with PJ Jacobsen. I said, what are you going to do? And he said, listen, I'm not in it to mess with the championship, so I am not going to make some desperate move. He's like, I'm not a young kid who's desperate to get on the podium. However, I got a team to think about, and if the opportunity is there, I'm going to take it, and I'm going to get a podium. So look for PJ to make a smart pass on Petrucci if he has the opportunity. What we do know is that PJ's caught him. So where is the M1000RR BMW quicker than the Ducati? We're getting ready to find out.
Well, for PJ right now, he doesn't have any contracts lined up as far as I know going into next season. And the championship battle, while he'll be respectful, he'll pick his spot. He realizes he's caught both of these guys on that BMW. And he, like I said, Greg, he'll be respectful, but he wants to run his own race. He wants to get his team and himself up on that podium. He doesn't really care who ends up where they end up in the podium. He's just trying to do the best job he can.
Impressive how deep PJ is on the brakes compared to Danilo Petrucci, who rides around in third, a 1:24.8, matching about the same pace as the leaders. Cameron Peterson goes 24.6, Gagne 24.9, as those two continue to pace themselves. Now, Jason, here's a battle for the Superbike Cup. This is for riders in the stock 1,000 class. They register to be in this championship, Superbike Cup, and right now it's Danilo Lewis who's racing Brandon Posh. So the number 94 Lewis and Posh, there's a difference in that championship, Jason, by only a couple of points. 6 points the difference in this one. The nod right now goes to Danilo Lewis. And of course, they are back in 14th and 15th place. Now, the difference is that this doesn't pay the points on the racetrack, it pays the points in the Superbike Cup. So we're watching a battle for the Superbike Cup championship. Who's going to get that? It is close, as Brandon Posh, Jason, is really coming to his own late season in the leader class.
Yeah, well, we've seen Brandon win Daytona 200s. At the beginning of the year, we saw him win that race, and getting used to 1,000 has been an adjustment period for Brandon Posh, but he's done a really nice job. We've seen him on the podium in our stock 1,000 races. Danilo Lewis here, we've seen him in the past, Greg, do some really good things as he goes, stuffs it up underneath Brandon in that last corner. So now he's going to take to the point. He legitimately only just has to finish right behind Brandon, but he wants to go out of here with a Superbike Cup win.
Lewis changing to the BMW S1000 RR this season. Set a couple of offs, but you can see their lap times compared to Brandon Posh on the Altus Motorsports. That bike has won 2 Stock 1000 championships in a row. So a good battle for Superbike Cup as our leaders of this race, Cam Peterson, Jake Gagne, and Danilo Petrucci, still in that order. Left part of your screen, you can look at our timing and scoring pylon. 0.6 of a second. P.J. Jacobsen still hounding Petrucci as P.J. Jacobsen looking for a different line, possibly try to get a run on him onto the straightaway.
Well, as good as P.J. is under braking, I'll pretty much put Petrucci against anybody under braking as well. He's very late on the brakes, and it's going to be a hard way to make a pass. I think what P.J. is going to have to try to do is try to work something in that last section, 14, 15, 16, like we saw Skoltz do. The other thing, too, is I'm sure Petrucci has it on his board that it's no longer Matthew Skoltz following him. So it'll be interesting to see. You can see these guys going off into Charlotte's Web right now. As you get a look, Greg, at the championship points, the way it would end at this moment. And Peterson is doing enough right now where it would jump him up past Skoltz for that third place spot. Or increase that lead.
Increase the lead as Cameron Peterson continues to lead this race. 0.6 of a second over his teammate Gagne. Petrucci trying to hold off the advantages of P.J. Jacobsen and just really at this point get another podium. Gagne well in control of his own fate in this one, but it's just impressive what we're seeing from Cameron Peterson. I mean, Jason, you and I have talked about this extensively off camera, the difference in the way that these two riders make their speed. In talking to Cameron Peterson and Jake Gagne at the beginning of the season, they commented how close their setups were and how they like to ride the motorcycle. But over the course of the season, with Cameron Peterson being new to the Fresh Lean Progressive Yamaha team, he started to develop his own style and his own feeling, and that was part of the big change. We know that Cameron Peterson loves to roll. He likes to make speed on the front end of the bike versus Gagne, who likes to make speed on the rear end of the motorcycle. Explain that.
Well, when you have two riders that are on the exact same bike, probably when he came into the team, a lot of the setup stuff that Richard had learned over the years from Attack, Richard Stamboli, when you start to look at the changes and things that he was thinking about trying to make to Cam, he knew he had a great baseline setup already with Gagne and with Cam Beaubier prior. So the thing is that you're going to put Cam on that kind of setup, and then the little idiosyncrasies that Cameron Peterson is going to look for or like, make some small tweaks to where Cam's going to get something that he wants a little bit more feel. Every rider's a little bit different. So the front end feel that whatever they did to make it to where Cam could get a little bit more front end feel, he told me, he said, Jason, now I can get into the corners, I can release the lever and get that roll that I wanted. I wanted to not be as much point and shoot. I wanted to release that lever, carry a little bit more roll speed before I pick the throttle up from maintenance to getting a lot more throttle put into the bike. So what it's allowed him to do, Greg, is get into corners, brake deep, trail in, let go of the lever, let the bike roll a little bit through the middle of the corner as opposed to maybe squaring things up as much.
Yeah, I think it's just a natural tendency the way riders can ride and where they're most comfortable. It's not to say you shouldn't be flexible as a rider, especially going from team to team and going up in your career. You need to modify your riding style. We've seen it with the greats like Valentino Rossi and all the different motorcycles that he was on during his career.
Yep.
You know, from 2-strokes to 990s to 800s to 1000 4-strokes. You got to change your riding style, but when it comes to comfort, if it's within the wheelhouse of the team to make that adjustment, go ahead and make that adjustment. All right, so Cam Peterson now extends his lead over his teammate Jake Gagne to 0.8 of a second. The gap back between Gagne and Petrucci, who are locked in this championship battle, is 5 seconds. All the while, P.J. Jacobsen, after yesterday reeling in Petrucci, thinking he was in third, but P.J. in his post-race interview said to us, Jay, he didn't want to be on the podium that way. We know that P.J. is desperate to get by Petrucci and stand on the podium in what potentially could be his last ride with the Tytler's Cycle team.
Yeah, and he's just trying to look for any opportunity he can get. Obviously they're doing the exact same lap times. Gagne is doing the same lap times as these two as well, but he's 5.1 seconds up the road. And, you know, Petrucci, like I said, Greg, he's probably wondering, probably still thinking it's Skoltz maybe behind him. And look at the difference in lines there. See how tight Petrucci is now in the bottom right of our screen? As you see him getting really loose under braking, it's going to be really hard to pass him there. But you can see how tight now Petrucci is through that 14, 15, 16. That's just good, smart riding as far as protecting his line, protecting it to make sure nobody's going to go up underneath him. Skoltzy did show him that earlier on, and Petrucci fired right back into turn 1. But now he's got somebody different back there. And you're going to see as they go through this turn, they G out at the bottom here. PJ's going to gain a little bit as they get over the top, and it looks like he has some pace. He's going to look to the left, but he's just not close enough.
Yeah, but the BMW definitely looks more settled at the bottom when they go transition.
And Petrucci's also defending in there really nicely. He's not moving all the way back over to the right side of the track and opening the door and allowing somebody to go by. So what you're seeing here is a lot of savvy from Petrucci in the sense of good racecraft and protecting that spot. Anything can still happen. We got 3 laps to go, and he's got to try to get every point he can.
Tip of the cap to Danilo Petrucci, who retired from MotoGP at the end of last season. Finds himself coming to the United States to Medallia Superbike here in MotoAmerica on a motorcycle that is arguably not well equipped for the Dunlop tires that we race here. And the team put everything they had into it, Jason. And what can you say about the rider, Petrucci, who came here and has won 5 races? I know you and I have talked about the possibility of him coming back next season, and we definitely want him to return.
No, I'd love to see him back here again and see what he can get another year. Don't forget, Greg, we had Loris Bass. We have 2 laps to go. Loris Bass was here with that team on that bike last year, and they've made some big strides and big steps this year, I felt. And it would be nice if they could bring the same guy back and try to redo what they started this year. Try to make some more improvements over the course of the season, off season that is, get some testing under their belt. Now they're coming to these tracks with data. All that crew is going to be a lot sharper when they roll into these new places.
Seems like PJ Jacobsen, with a lap and a half to go, is just trying to hold on to the back of Petrucci.
Well, I saw PJ actually look up the inside of 14, 15, 16 that last time. I just don't think PJ has a spot where he feels he can actually make the pass as clean or as safe as he would like to make it. So, and for sure, Danilo right now is pulling away a little bit now.
And that's going to be comforting for Petrucci, as he doesn't have to worry about an attack coming from PJ Jacobsen. Again, PJ trying to put himself on the podium, wants to do it for his team, but on the other hand, he doesn't want to mess with anything to do with this championship, because with less than a lap and a half to go, this is the time, Jay, we talked about it at the top of the show, the tension, the nervousness from the team, let alone Jake Gagne, to wrap up this second championship, hold on to that #1 plate. Every time he goes by, the team is thinking about, will this motorcycle make it one more lap? The white flag is out for Cameron Peterson. Can he grab his second Medallia Superbike victory of the season, get his 3rd career victory? But for the national championship, can his teammate Jake Gagne, who's now drifted back 2 seconds, who is, I'm not going to say he's on cruise control, but he is definitely wanting to make it to the checkered flag and wrap up this championship. But Cameron Peterson, he had to pass for it, Jason. He set the pace for his teammate. What a team player. And just to know that Cameron Peterson got the green light to go win this race, if you can do it, it's something that he's been talking about all weekend long, Jay. Ever since we talked to him on Friday, the comfort with the motorcycle, we knew he had the speed. He broke the track record on Friday on race tires before Gagne did it in qualifying on Saturday. And it has been quite a weekend for the South African.
Yeah, and he looks awesome doing it, Greg. He rode so well all weekend long, and right when they pulled that bike out of the truck, he said, Jay, we haven't changed a thing since New Jersey, not one thing. And we saw yesterday the dejection of kind of almost feeling like he let the team down, tipping off, and he was hoping he'd get the green light to go try to win one of these races today, or this race today, and he's going to do just that.
Setting him off into the season. Here comes Cameron Peterson, race 2 winner for Medallia Superbike and his 2nd win of the season. Jake Gagne comes across the stripe, and he will finish 2nd and win the championship as PJ Jacobsen makes a bid from far back, gets by Petrucci for 3rd place. Petrucci ends up 4th. So the #1 plate stays on Jake Gagne's fresh and lean progressive Yamaha. And he'll bring back his #1 plate to Durango, Colorado. And his dad right there with the beard. Here's the pass, Jason.
Is he going to square him up? So Petrucci goes through 14, 15, 16, very, very tight. And PJ just rolls around the outside of him and gets up underneath him going into the final left. Wow, what a pass by Jacobson. Greg, last time we saw, it looked like Petrucci was actually pulling away from him.
Yeah, and so great job by PJ Jacobson, Jay. Just having a look at that last lap, he was 0.4 of a second quicker. But Cameron Peterson wins, and Jay, look at the race pace. Hey, this kind of looks like a little bit of Jake Gagne type situation. He goes quickest lap on lap number 2, and then throws down a solid 6. Lap 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cameron Peterson, what a great run. What a great way to sail off into the offseason with a testing program ahead and a contract for next year. We'll be back to find out how his race went in a moment.
What a race throughout. Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden here with you as Danilo Petrucci waves through the crowds and the Ducatisti out there cheering him on. Going to finish fourth today. A tremendous pass, Roger, in the last turn of the race of the season for PJ Jacobson.
Yeah, that was a great ride by PJ. Been riding unreal these last couple races. And, you know, at the beginning of the race, Danilo was the best I've looked like almost all year. Just super aggressive. And I know he's won some races, so you wouldn't think that would be the best, but just was super aggressive with the guys early and looked really good on the brakes. One thing I noticed with the Ducati, he can brake deep. Going into turn 1, going into turn 5. A lot of guys would get a good run on him and just could not break him. But it was about these two guys here today. Awesome to see Cam Peterson get that win and Jake Gagne to retain that title.
Little noseway to get into that balance point. Oh, I feel happy for both of them. Oh, he's going over to where Josh Herron had previously threw out his gloves, but Cam Peterson with his victory, second of the year, is 12th. 12th podium on the season. Ezra Bobier, congratulations. The fans getting a little extra something to help people over there over near the fan zone / fun
God,
zone.
I wish I was over there. I need stuff for my memorabilia collection.
I think you're all right on your Alpine Star collection, but yeah. I need to go get an autograph. I've got Josh Herron's autograph on a visor. I won last night. How about this guy, Danilo Lewis? He didn't need to get by Brandon Posh, but he finishes 15th, going to get a Medallia Superbike point, but also the Superbike Cup champion.
Yeah, what a great feather in the cap for him coming over here and racing last year, after actually the last couple years. So it's good to see Danilo. Look how happy he is.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
Yeah.
Caipirinha's all around. We saw how happy they were with a podium, but to win a title here in MotoAmerica in the Superbike Cup.
I mean, that's just what it's all about. And just coming here and doing the best he can. Not a huge team, and they make the best of it.
Jake Gagne, though, you saw him just sitting there. He had a pace setter right in front of him. You said you click off the laps quicker when you got somebody right in front. You're not having to think about setting that pace.
Yeah, when you're behind somebody like that and you're just following them, the race definitely goes by a lot quicker. And I think for Jake, just kind of sat there and let Cam do all the heavy lifting. And then the last couple laps just backed off a little bit, make sure, you know, bring it home. Don't stress the motor. Don't stress everything as much from the last couple laps. Make sure it makes it to the end.
Those nose wheelers are all in good until you just grab a little too much.
Until they're not.
How many times have you done it? You ever done it?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, I'm just checking.
I can't do a stoppie, so.
Yeah, that's why you haven't done it. See, you don't even try to attempt it. Cam Peterson, Jake Gagne, PJ Jacobson heading to the podium, and we'll hear from them next.
job, man. Congrats. I got you.
What a way to end the season. Celebrations for Cameron Peterson, Jake Gagne, and Ezra Bobier in the mix there, who's known those guys for quite a while. Giving the fans some mementos. All right, so here's the race results, JP. Gagne rolled out of it the way he should. 3.1 seconds to margin of victory for Cameron Peterson. PJ Jacobsen with that last corner move on Danilo Petrucci, able to finish in third. Schultz drifts to fifth. And then Escalante got around Jake Lewis. But we're going to talk to our #1 plate. He held on to it. I think, Hannah, that it's the possibility that Jake Gagne will finally talk to us about the championship. What do you think?
Perhaps he will finally talk to us about the pressure of this championship. Your 2022 FIM North America Medallia Superbike champ, back-to-back champ at that, Jake Gagne. The result was the same at the end of this season as last year, but the journey has not been. Tell me how it's been different and how you've grown this season as a rider.
It was, yeah, man, we were all tested again and again, ups and downs, and yeah, we're here and we got it done, man. I mean, hats off to this progressive, fresh and lean attack performance team. I mean, all these guys, man, we've worked our butts off. I've made some mistakes along the way this year, put us deep in a hole, but yeah, we're here and made it happen. Congrats to Cam for getting that win, man. He got out in front, and I was kind of happy to watch his pace, you know, with the track being a little bit of that rain earlier. But again, and hats off to Danilo, man. That guy was a true competitor. He pushed me in every way this year, you know. I don't think there's anybody who I've wanted to ever beat more than that guy, you know, with his expertise and reputation. So congrats to him and their team and all these Yamaha guys again. The Rye Helmets, Alpine Stars, all the fans, my whole family, everybody watching at home, man. Yeah, it feels good. We're finally done with this thing.
Well, you're not done racing for this season. You've got a race coming up here in a couple weeks in Portimao. Can you shed any light on how you're feeling heading into that?
Yeah, we're fired up. All of us are really stoked, man. We're really looking forward to it. Obviously, I feel like I'm carrying everybody here in MotoAmerica on my shoulders. I want to do well for everybody, so I'm going to go over there and give it hell. See what we can do, man. Have fun, enjoy the process, and try to do our best. But like I said, you know, thanks to everyone at MotoAmerica, the whole series, all these tracks, all the fans especially. Yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Jake Gagne, certainly someone to root for. Let's get over to Jamie Howe.
With Cameron Peterson, our race winner for today, his second win of the season, and a season that saw him on the podium 12 times. Cameron, you know you're going to be back on this bike next year as you head into the off-season now with a win on your shoulders. What motivating factor do you have to come back and get some more of them?
Yeah, you know, I was happy to finish off the season like that. Obviously, it's going to make the off-season a lot easier, but yeah, we had a rough day yesterday, you know, and we know what we needed to do, so to finish off with the win in the season, I can't tell you how much it means to me. I've been wanting to get one of these in the drive for a long time, so we finally made it happen. You know, I know Jake was maybe taking it a little bit easy with the championship, but still, you know, we got that dub. So happy for it, and I can't thank this team enough. The whole Yamaha fresh and lean progressive attack performance team, I mean, those guys are unreal. I've had so much fun every single second this year, so really looking forward to next year. And thanks to all the supporters, all the fans, everybody out here. Sweet turnout, you know, so look forward to coming back next year. And to all my family and friends back home, love you guys, miss you.
Congratulations, Greg.
Great celebration from teammates. One gets today's victory and the other one the national championship. Barber Motorsport coverage of Medallia Superbike continues after this. You're going to want to stay and check this out.
Celebration continues on the podium, and Shaga's all around. The Dunlops held on there. We questioned whether we would, you know, continue to have rain throughout the day, but it stopped. The dry conditions, I think, it really played into the hands of those two guys. They had those bikes set up. Track champion or the track record qualifying. I mean, they showed their dominance the second they pulled it off of the truck.
It was good to see Cam finish the weekend how he started it. You know, so fast the very first session, breaking the track record, and then, yeah, he made that little mistake in yesterday's race and crashed. But besides that, this is a solid weekend we've seen out of Cam on the Superbike, and hopefully maybe he learned something this weekend that he can move on to the next season.
Well, about what the might have been. Remember, the first thing we saw out of Jake Gagne was what? Him pulling the bike off of the track. It went into limp mode, and the bike was having problems. It was one little part that Richard, I talked to him this morning. He said, we've never had it before. It was just a simple thing, and it actually happened at New Jersey. They went back and looked at the data. So when you twist the throttle, he saw this signature that gave, and the throttle itself and the grip were two different things slightly, and they saw a little flutter even back at New Jersey. So thank God it let go when it did, and it put it in that limbo. He said it probably would have fired back up, but it would have shut off again. So one little part, you never know, could make all the difference.
Yeah, and it could have did it for Danilo also.
Yes,
so you just never know.
But I'm saying it did happen to Jake here, and fortunately it happened on day 1 instead of day 2 or day 3. Got them rockstar glasses on.
What about the guy in third?
Yeah, I'm so happy for him, and P.J. Jacobson having to sit out a full year with those burns, and Tyler Cycle bringing him on board, a new team, new bike. Everything was new, and the success that they had for that team this year. We knew the fresh and lean progressive Yamaha team was going to be strong, but that Tyler's team and P.J. Jacobson extremely strong. And
been talking about they need to find their race pace.
Yep, they found
this race today.
They found it. Yeah, that lap time of 25:21, quicker than the other two. Just in front of him.
Even toward the end of the race, he was still doing low 24s, the same pace almost as Peterson and Gagne, just a little bit off with only 3 or 4 laps to go.
Yeah, their best times. Peterson only, even though he won the race, only 3/10 faster than PJ's best time. Very tight race, good race for the longest time, and it worked out perfectly for those two. No team orders yesterday. It looked like there were no team orders today. I think Jake Gagne knew what he needed to do, and he was sticking on that back tire. He was staying really close for a while, but for a while there, also had Petrucci very close behind him.
Yeah, and then they just kind of broke them there and then just pulled away a little bit each lap.
Go back over to the guys next door as we cap off this. We still have a couple more races to go today.
Medallia Superbike coverage is sponsored by Medallia, the pioneer in customer and employee experience. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance.
So in the history books, in the final standings for Medallia Superbike 2022 season, it's Gagne was a 20-point lead. He wins by 20 over Danilo Petrucci, Cameron Peterson over Matthew Skultz. So 1, 2, 3 in the championship. Barbara P.J. Jacobson, a great run for those BMW M1000 RRs. Lewis Hayden Gillum and Richie Escalante. But he's been awesome all season. Danilo Petrucci, and he's with Jamie.
He was able to accumulate 5 wins over the course of the season, including the first 3 in a row. Danilo, to end the season, 2nd place in the championship. What was your biggest takeaway from your year in MotoAmerica?
First of all, it was a real pleasure to race in USA because I had the chance to meet a lot of fans and that are living here, and I have fun. I struggle a lot of up and downs, but I am happy. Unfortunately, we had the most difficult weekend, just this one, and I wanted to fight till the end, but I was too slow. Too many problems this weekend. But I want to thank the team, all the people, all the MotoAmerica fans, everyone. And it has been a real pleasure to race here. It has been a great experience.
Thank you, Danilo. Congratulations.
We certainly hope to see him again in 2023. We'll wrap up the season on the other side of this commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Robbie Floyd, Roger Hayden here with you as we take the last break before we get to the closeout of the Medallia Superbike show that they are covering on FS2 tonight at 8 Central. Jake Gagne didn't have that smile on his face at the first round of the Superbike season. I mean, think about it. Circuit of the Americas, 2 races, 2 DNFs, 2 races for Danilo Petrucci, 2 race wins. Everybody thought, oh my God, he's going to kill him this year.
I think the second race maybe at COTA, Jake got 4th.
Was it okay?
And then he crashed the race 1 at Atlanta.
Okay.
Next.
Yeah, there's where we're missing our 2. So yeah, I mean, everybody's
and then
like,
he crashed the Brandon. So he's got 3 races he missed. But Jake just kind of chipped away at it and just, you know, didn't get, when he got really far down. I mean, after at Road Atlanta, we left there and it was like 50-something points back.
Yeah.
You know, something crazy like that. And you kind of thought it was over. But he went on one of his runs and just, man, he's driving great. And let's not forget, he's going to race World Superbike soon for a wild card.
let's talk about that at a track that he is Portimao, right? I believe where he's going. Isn't it Portimao? A race track that he's been there before. A few years back before he came back to MotoAmerica, I'm sure. But that track, did you get to race that one?
I did.
What'd you think of it? And
It was fun. It's a busy track, and you know, talking about a track with some elevation there, and I think he'll like it. You know, what he's going to do is really tough, though.
Yeah.
You know, those guys been racing each other all year, same bikes, same tires, know it all, the ins and out. He's rode the Pirellis before. People don't realize how much the tires change everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You know, you got to get confidence in the way the front tire feels. So I heard that he's tested with the Pirellis, so he's got a little bit of a good feel.
Okay.
And hopefully he goes over and does well, but it's going to be hard.
Are their European Pirellis the same as our American Pirellis? Because I remember that we knew.
Well, some white tires, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. We knew that Danilo was actually practicing on the tire that we had here because they had maybe a different model. But yeah, Jake, the opportunity for him to do that. We heard the guys talking about how they can have a gearbox change.
What? He's got some stuff he wants to prove over there.
Yeah.
He got beat up whenever he went over there. I remember with Jordan getting to go back there. We did that wild card from when I did it.
Yeah.
Got to beat a lot of guys that used to beat me a lot.
1, 2, 3 in the championship, and Richard Stamboli gets to stand on top of the box as the main man in the Fresh and Lean Progressive Yamaha team. As congratulations goes all around. Jason, let's talk about your takeaways from the Medallia Superbike season.
Just so many ups and downs. Each weekend we saw both Danilo and Jake have to battle through some attrition amongst each other. I mean, crashes, bikes breaking down, things like that. So at the end of the day, I think Danilo was a tremendous addition to the paddock for all of us. And Cam rode well, Matthew Scotes rode well, PJ Jacobson, there's a number of guys that you can talk about. Series looks like it's getting better, Greg. I love that part of it, and hopefully we'll have more competitors come here next year.
Yeah, we're hoping to see Petrucci back and some improvements on that Ducati, as well as some updates from Suzuki coming for the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki team. But this whole season is going to be about Jake Gagne and the testing program. What are they going to have next season? We look forward to seeing Gagne in World Superbike. But for us, Hannah Jamie Howe, and Jason Pridmore, it has been an outstanding season. I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for checking out MotoAmerica and the Medallia Superbike 2022 season. We can't wait for 2023 to start, and we know we're going to see you there.
Greg Creamer here in the booth now with Roger Hayden and a couple of synchronous nose wheelies there. That was pretty impressive, celebrating coming on in. And it was nice to see Richie up there, obviously, with everything he does for that attack performance.